Yeah, that is so good. That is so good.
You're so
One,
complimentary. I'm just going to edit out like a section that says, that is so good.
Just have it on a loop, Laura.
I'm going to have it playing throughout my house.
I love it. I love it by all means.
I'll publish it and we'll share the royalties.
Yes, yes.
Welcome, everyone. This is another episode of Love Letters to the Future. I'm PJ Manny.
And I'm Laura Faye Tenenbaum, and I am so glad you are here with us today because our guest is Wynette Richardson, who's known as the teacher's champion. And I'm just going to add, I've had this experience when I'm listening to somebody else's podcast and the people start laughing and I start laughing and smiling. And this could literally be just an hour of the three of us giggling at each other.
Apparently, we are all giggle monsters.
This is the Giggle Monster episode. I'm going to introduce her now. She's a transformational speaker, an award-winning educator, the author of the book, The Transformation Journal. It's a transforming words into reality. She supports students, teachers, educational communities, and I can't wait to talk with her about her expertise and her visionary ideas about the future of education and to share them with all of you. So welcome, Wynette, to
Thank
Love
you.
Letters to the Future.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here. Oh,
Whoop, whoop. Normally, what happens on this podcast is we talk about the value systems that humanity has that are shared through storytelling and how many of the stories that we tell ourselves about who we are actually old and worn out, outdated, especially in education. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to say. And then we suggest news stories. So that's normally the format, but let's start out by asking both of you, should we go with that format? Do we want to talk about what doesn't work first, or do we want to jump right in to what's working?
Education is such a massive concept in our country and in the world. And everybody thinks they know how it's supposed to work. Like, that's, I think, the biggest issue.
absolutely.
If PJ and I were to float over with our magic wands and say, Wynette, you are now officially can have the educational system that you've always wanted.
Oh my gosh. Can you please make that work? Please. That is my one ask.
I have a magic feather.
I'll take it. I'll take
I'm waving a
it.
crazy pink feather with a gold tip.
I love it. Yeah, that's so real. And it's very interesting, PJ, that you even brought that up right now in this moment. I was in a conversation with some people today, and we were talking about education and what it looks like. When I went to college to become an educator, everything that I learned, for heaven's sakes, I had floppy disks. I didn't have hard drives or USBs. I had floppy disks.
People don't even know what a floppy disk is. It sounds like something vaguely sexual and nasty. I mean, do people know? They don't know.
Well, that is true. So we had like desktop computers,
That's
and
right.
with our desktop computers, we had to insert a disk that held all of our information. It equates to an iCloud or some type of storage cloud now. So what does that even look like? How am I supposed to teach this generation from the knowledge that I gained 20 plus years ago? Now, I know you think that 20 years ago is not for real, but I promise you, I've been out of college 20 plus years. One time, a student interrupted me. She had raised her hand. She's like, "What's your skin regimen?" I was like, "Ma'am, that's not the topic of conversation."
But
at
it's a
least
perfect example about what you were saying, how the modern world, we care about all kinds of things. And I would make the argument that that's important because it makes you bond with the people. And if you share
Absolutely.
your skin regimen with a student,
Yes.
then maybe they want to listen to you about math.
Exactly. And that was like my segue, right? And The system of education I would love, I want to make sure that I am teaching humans to be human. I am teaching humans to gain skills that they will need for the rest of their lives. I want to be able to teach humans, not only are they learning how to read with comprehension and write precisely and concisely, and knowing how to research, but to make sure that when they leave the educational space, they are the best human possible. And sometimes that digs a little bit deeper than just English. Sometimes it digs a little bit deeper than just math.
I would imagine it digs it deeper, not just sometimes, but like every second of every moment of every day.
Absolutely. And that would really be my model of education.
Is to be better humans. That would
Yes,
be step one.
yes, step one.
And
Because when we're
step
better
two and
humans,
step three, all the steps.
yes, when we're better people, we have the capacity to take in more things, and we're able to process it to determine if this is good or bad, or will I be able to use this later or not, and all the things. But when we don't have that capacity, I just need to pass this English class because I need to transfer. I need to pass this English class because I need to apply to the nursing program. I need to pass this English class because my mama is paying for it, and if I do not pass, I don't have a place to live.
And I used to have this exact fight with my students. It's like, why are you here? And they had all these ulterior motives, but none of them were because I want to learn and grow as a human.
Well, and this is the bigger issue behind the myths of why we have education in the first place. On one hand, the idealistic myth was always to be a better human, to be a better citizen, to be able to go through the world with an ability to function. But really, the way education is driven today, it's how to be a better worker, how to be a better cog in the machine. Especially higher education becomes reduced to things like, well, is it a pre-job training?
And it's the same thing, not just for the students, but the teachers are also having to perform to some standard because you're graded as a teacher on how well your students perform on this Scantron test.
But does that Scantron test equate to them being a better human? And
well,
that
we know the answer to that. Yeah.
Right, we do know the answer to that, and but somehow we still keep on
shoving it down people's throat.
Exactly.
Yes,
So
yes.
how do you deal with that, Wynette?
We have real conversations in our classroom. As an example, when I am giving them a deadline for their assignment, I always ask them, hey, let's be proactive versus reactive. And they're like, well, what do you mean by that? I said, well, let's take it of a step further. When you get hired at your job, your boss is going to provide you with some type of duties, some type of tasks, and they're going to ask you to complete it by a certain timeline. And if they don't, there's still some type of ramifications that comes along with assignments or duties. If you miss this deadline, what do you think is going to happen? Oh, I might lose my job, or, I may not get a chance to do it again. So treat this essay just like you would at your job. I'm not saying that I will not grade your paper if it's late. I'm not saying that, but you want to work toward making sure that you're on time. Because there are times when we have to have some excuses because there are things that we can't control, and we can't control those things. But the things that we can control, let's do that. Let's equate that to your job, your boss. Raise your hand if you have a job. Then they'll raise their hand if they have a job. I said, are you salaried or are you an hourly employee? Oh, I'm hourly. Awesome. Now, what happens if you do not call them? You do not show up. Do you get paid for that day? Oh, no, I don't. I know, no, no. It's the same exact thing. So, what am I saying here? I make everything applicable to real life. I get it. I wouldn't want to write a 5-page paper either after I've worked all day, dealt with the children. But at the same token, right now, this is my job. I know I need to get this done. How can I get it done? And these are the same things when we transfer those over into being an adult, working in the real world. And I make everything applicable so that they can understand the concept. And when we understand the concept, then they're like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm writing this paper well. I'm not writing this paper under pressure.
It sounds like you're talking to them also about like the process of learning and the process of
Yes.
education and the
Yes.
approach. So I have a question about your original statement about becoming a better person. And I can think of several people in my life right now who, if you interviewed them, if they were on
Yes.
this podcast right now, and I said, "Are you a better person?" and they would say, "Yes, I'm a very good person." Most people are going to think that they're being good regardless of what their behavior is. So how does one determine if I'm being a good person? How does one determine if a student is a good person? How do we make that assessment? I think just saying the word good person needs to be clarified.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for asking that. The oldest student I've ever taught that I know of was 70 years old. And this was like my second year teaching. I was in rural North Carolina, so very much yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, that type of thing. And I did not want to put that type of stipulation into the classroom because I didn't want to make it so stuffy that our students didn't want to engage. I said, hey, listen, we're all different here. The only thing that I'm asking you all to do is to be kind to one another. Be respectful. You do not have to agree with what everybody is saying. You may not like the shoes that they're wearing. That's fine. But you will still be kind to them. If you think that they answered the question incorrectly and you had the correct answer, you can say that respectfully. And so building that camaraderie in the classroom. And as I started to see that happening more and more, they started exchanging phone numbers. They started becoming friends. And they're like, I would have never approached this person if we didn't start opening up in class. Everybody's term when it comes to good is very different because I've realized some people may not necessarily know what good looks like because of their experiences and their background, but we can show them what it looks like. And I like to use the word kind. We can be kind to one another. That doesn't mean you have to be best friends. That doesn't mean you all have to go out on dates. But we are going to respect one another.
As you both know, but maybe the audience doesn't, I was also a community college professor for 13 years. And yeah, there were times when students were disrespectful to the
Oh yeah,
institution and
yeah,
were
yeah.
disrespectful to each other. So I guess my question to you is, it's not the times where everything's working well that's the challenge for the instructor. So how do you react in those times where you see the disrespect, and how do you turn it around and get the accountability so it's not lip service, so that you can actually, well, one, I can tell you're modeling respect, so for sure that helps. But
Well, thank
beyond
you.
modeling it, what do you do to curb it when you see the disrespect?
One of the things that I have started using, and I say that always in the beginning of the semester, we can talk about whatever, but it needs to be classroom appropriate. And if someone says something out of line, then someone else said, that's not classroom appropriate. As an example, I had some students, they missed each other, so they were trying to catch up. They were catching up while I'm teaching. And you know what I did? I stopped. Stopped teaching. I said, it's rude to talk over somebody. I will not be rude to you. So when you're done having your conversation, then I will start teaching again. I stopped teaching. And then the other students were like, oh, she's for real.
Because you could have done it the other way. You could have tried to make them stop.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
instead, you were like, I'm not going to talk over you.
My overarching idea of students is making sure that they find their voices and their voices are activated because what they have to say is very important. Now, sometimes I'm just like, did you really just say that? And because I've helped them to become a little bit more open, I can't tell them to like put it back in, you know?
Oh, I want to know what's the craziest stuff that a student has said, and then what's the most disrespectful thing a student has done?
I'll never forget, I'm teaching a class, I'm being observed. And this one student, he raised his hand and he said something so absurd. Like nothing to do with English, nothing to do with anything, but he knew somebody was in the class observing me. He tried everything, at least 5 minutes worth of my instruction time. The next day he comes back to class and he raised his hand again. He was like, I tried everything to get you off of your script. I tried to do everything to get you off track. And you were just still so nice. You were still just trying to make me stay on task.
He'll remember that for
For the
like
rest of his
ever.
life.
He will,
For the
and
rest of
all
his
the other
life.
students will remember it too. That's teaching. You taught them something.
I was just trying not to lose my cool.
In my experience, the thing that I found the most disrespectful was cheating. I think it's like an offset of what you were saying earlier, which is my mom's paying for it and I'll get in trouble. I want to do this because I'm transferring. And the pressure.
And especially in this age of AI, it is so super important that we really focus on academic integrity. I always break it down, and I start from this. Raise your hand if you're an author, raise your hand if you're a poet, raise your hand if you're a rapper. Well, what happens if somebody steals your work? You have the best beats in all the production land, and somebody steals it and they do not give you credit. What happens? Oh, I'm about to do a lawsuit. Okay, calm down. I just asked the question. Right? When you're working on an essay and you're reading information someone has spent their years, their whole livelihood researching and producing, and then you take this information and you put it into your words and you don't give them credit, guess what? They want to do a lawsuit against you, just like you want to get a lawsuit against somebody else from stealing your beats. It's the same thing. So you need to do your own work. I'm watching, I'm paying attention, and I know you're writing because we do a lot of writing in class, paper to pencil.
It's an offense to your sensibility if they think that you're so, ignorant that they can pull it off and you won't notice.
Let's save all of us time, effort, and keep our nervous systems at bay. Let's do our own work. What I've done instead is we actually do something called workshop. I sit with them individually and go through their essays. Do you have the right citations? Did you make sure that you do your in-text? All those things. So therefore, I've already seen their papers.
You're so funny.
But it also helps them to not miss their deadline.
Well, that is also what you were saying earlier, way more connected to like the real world. I mean, if you had a project in a job, you wouldn't just like show up the last day with the whole project. You'd be iterating with your whole team and management. One of the things that I'm getting out of this is that you're modeling being a real person yourself. You're modeling being true to your own convictions. Like not everybody has the ability, the skill, the desire, and maybe it's also scary to be as real and vulnerable as you fully are.
What I'm so impressed by is how you are not only seeing and listening to your students, but you're allowing them to see and really hear you. Like we often talk about this idea of being seen and heard is the most important thing we have as humans to each other. That feeling that we are recognized, that we're validated, and that we're also vulnerable enough to share who we really are. That you're modeling that in the classroom, which is so important because that's actually what makes us human.
I think you coach other instructors and people to be able to get to them.
I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, of course. March 26th, 2021, my mom passed away. And May 10th, 2022, my dad passed away. 14 months within each other. My entire world literally came crumbling down. But I'm still showing up to work, like all the things. And I had a student that was looking for me when I came back that first day, and he kept following me around. I was like, I don't have time for this. Like, I'm barely here. We finally connected, and he was like, I've been looking for you. And I was like, oh, what's up? He was like, why are you here? If it were me, I wouldn't be here. I'm just being honest with you. I wouldn't be here because I have to take care of me. In that moment, it hit me. And I was like, you're right. I do. Yes, it was grief, but most importantly, it was burn out. As educators, we have our own lives, and then we take on everything for our students and our schools and all the things. And it's really difficult to manage a lot of times, especially when life happens and it continues to happen. I was extremely burned out. And I took some time to just be. I documented my journey on literally how I picked up the pieces every single day. And I created a framework that literally helped me to become whole again. And when I went back into into the classroom, I every single day had to apply this champ framework so that I could show up for my students. And they held space for me. I cried real tears in front of my students. I just showed up. I did the work. And I realized that as educators, we carry so much. And there's so many things that's inside of us that's lying dormant that we may not even know that's there because we are on the brink of burnout or we are just not paying attention to it. So I live by the phrase that I only pour from my overflow. So helping the teachers to only pour from their overflow. What does it take for you to be absolutely filled up to be able to go into the classroom? Because if you're not totally filled up going into the classroom, you're giving all that you have to your students. And I help educators to find that in them.
What is the champ framework?
So glad you asked that. Everybody wants to know.
I'm so glad you asked. I am the teacher's champion, and I help educators to live their lives balanced, boldly, and with wellness. Who are those people that we need? And as an example, for me, I did not know what I needed, honestly, until I had to sit with it. We need to make sure that we have things that's going to bring us joy. We need to make sure that we have things that's going to replenish our cups. We need to make sure that we have those people that's in our corners that's going to help us, that can provide us those space. Who are your safe spaces? I love books, but I didn't read for pleasure. I was just reading for, I need to study. I need to learn more. Getting back into reading for pleasure, making sure that I'm pouring back into my cup. Because a lot of times we think that it's okay if I just, go get a pedicure. Yes, pedicures are self care and things like that. But most of us, myself included, right? We're checking email. We're scrolling on social media. We are figuring out what's going on in the nail shop. We are trying to figure out dinner. We're ordering Instacart, DoorDash. I'm just being honest. So it's really not that self care. So what is self-care for you? What makes your whole well-being happy?
I'm sure some of the people who are listening right now are either educators or their friends, or I mean, everybody knows a teacher.
Yeah.
What would you say to that person who's like, I can't even fit in all the chores that I have to do, and I'm working 2 jobs and I'm doing the hustle culture? What do you say to those people? How do we get off that hamster wheel?
Yeah, that's so good. So good. And I like to use the analogy like closing all the tabs. I have tabs open on my laptop right now. I'm looking at it. Right?
Don't.
Yeah, I'm just being honest.
No judging.
So closing your tabs. How do you close your tabs? I always suggest journaling, writing it down. Pick up your phone, say it in a note, right? Get it out of your head. If you can, instead of hitting the snooze button, get up, right? Use that extra 5 minutes that you would snooze. Use that extra 5 minutes that you would snooze and start your day with just breathing, right? Just getting your thoughts. One of the things that I always suggest is find your morning routine. What is that thing that is going to center you, wind you down, or get you started for the day? My first hour of the day is devoted to myself. I do not look at my cell phone. I do not turn on the TV. That whole 1 hour is solely for me. Even if it's my body is hurting from the gym the next day, I'm just laying there. But that hour is for me. I cannot do anything within that hour. Somebody might say, I don't have an hour, Wynette. So what do I do? Whatever time you have, guess what? find some time. If it's 3 minutes, if it's 5 minutes, if your lunch break is 30 minutes, take 15 minutes of that and just do something that's going to refill you. Because if you do not, you will run on empty. When you run on empty, you'll start running on fumes.
I think a lot of those people who you were talking about earlier, the people who are disrespectful or unkind, they're probably underlying all that is a
Oh,
systemic
yes.
fuel running.
Yes. Yes.
They've got so much going on in their own lives that they're not coping with, that they're not balanced. It's such a great model for young people to understand that, youth is a gift, and they can get away with a certain amount of burning the candle at both ends, but it doesn't last forever, no matter what age you are.
The other day, my students were like, I was like, how are you doing today? Normal routine. They're just like, I'm tired. I understand. I said, well, why are you so tired? My student was like, I have all these things and I haven't even started. Oh, that kind of tired. Okay. I appreciate you being real. I said, so this is what we can do. I said, well, let's take today and work. Let's have a working session. Whatever that work looks like for you. If you need me to help you, if you need to ask me questions, like, I'm here. Let's work. If you don't have any other time today, you have this 55 minutes. Let's get it. They're like, thumbs up, and they got to work.
So Peachy and I have talked a lot with our guests on this podcast about the societal systems that keep things in place and how we don't want to give off the impression that it's up to the individual to solve every problem on their own, because that's part of the story that is an old story that we all think is broken, that, oh, it's up to you to figure it out and work harder. And so now that you've talked a little bit about the individual and what you recommend, like, how are you working toward systems change?
Yeah, that is so good. That is so good.
You're
One,
so complimentary. I'm just going to edit out like a section that says, that is so good.
Just have it on a loop, Laura.
I'm going to have it playing throughout my house.
I love it. I love it by all means.
I'll publish it and we'll share the royalties.
Yes, yeah. No, seriously, like, we talk a lot about systems just in general. There are times where there are things that we can control and things that we can't control. But what we can do is work toward the things that we can control. And sometimes that looks like voicing your opinion. Sometimes that looks like advocating. Who are those people that you need in your space, in your community, that think like you, that's going the same route that you're going, and that can make some change? It's so funny that you asked that. My student brought up the question the other day. Well, education has changed so much, and she wants to teach elementary school. And she was saying, well, I think elementary education should shift a little bit. And I said, well, that's really good to hear. I said, so how are we going to shift that? And so she just started naming, like, getting together with people and speaking up in class and making sure that we understand how to start implementing those things, because we have to do it together.
When I think about some of the biggest problems in our education system, at least in the United States, the kids are facing gun violence.
It is so big, yeah.
And it's like, it seems so immobile at the same time. We're still suffering from the No Child Left Behind policies, the textbook companies who are the ones who make decisions. We've got big, big issues.
Yeah. I can't imagine some of the things that they see at their age. It's going to take all of us to make sure that we see these changes that we're desiring to see.
So I guess that really ties into the public speaking that you do, because you speak to
Yes,
educators and
yes.
administrators, right?
A lot of times, as the educators, we can only see what educators can see. And so I remove my glasses a lot of times, right, when I'm speaking with the educators, so they can see that I'm seeing these things through the student's lens. So sometimes we have to make sure that we're seeing ourselves in a better light. When we start seeing ourselves as a better light, our students start seeing us in a better light. And sometimes that transformation can start right there in the classroom, because maybe the student is upset in the classroom, That student takes all of his anger, all of her anger out into the entire school because we had that problem in the classroom. How do we shift the culture in the classroom first? Then we can start working on the outside. How do we transform what we're doing right now to create champions in our class? Then we can move to the community. Then we can move to the parents because it's all of us.
I wish that everyone understood how important it is to work together for education. It's the thing that really creates a society that you want to live in. Education that supports everyone, that allows people to both see each other, be seen, but also grow to the best of what they are. Because we have this very widget version of education, how do you deal with different students and different skills and different strengths and different weaknesses? How do you approach them and how they feel about that work they have to do, which may or may not be to their strengths?
That is so good. Oh my God, I get so excited.
It's so good, Lou.
It's so good. All students learn differently, and all students can learn. In order for me to be able to teach, I have to understand my students. And in understanding my students, I have to spend time with them. The first week of class, we are focused solely on us as individuals. Who you are. What do you like to do for fun? Tell me a fun fact about yourself that I would not know by looking at you. And of course, I'm doing the same thing.
We should do
And
this in all groups. I can't tell you how many different
yes,
groups you get
yes,
into where you don't know
yes.
anything about the people and you're supposed to function together as a team. And you don't know what's your favorite food. You don't know anything.
Not to get off track. I'm coming back, PJ, I promise. As you can tell, I love to tell stories, right? A couple months ago, I did a workshop. We were doing this activity, and we had different people from all different colleges, different areas. I asked them to, hey, I need some volunteers. Hey, some people volunteer, and every person that volunteered said they were left-handed. It was 4 of them. I have never been in a random session. 4 people were left-handed, and I had to stop. 4 left-handed people. I said, this is the exact reason why this is so important. And I thought that was just the coolest thing. But I go back to the original question, PJ. I spend time with them, understanding who they are and what they like to do. And a lot of them are shy. I am taking mental notes. I am writing down who they are, what they like to do. It's in my memory bank. And when I am teaching something, now I've seen them, right? I'm watching them. Okay, they didn't get it when I'm speaking it. Okay, cool. Let's go to the board. Okay, so now they're writing, they're taking notes. If I see somebody else that's not there, I go back and redirect, re-instruct a different way. And so now we're learning how one another learn. Some students come in with their laptops. And then I have some students that's coming in taking notes with their pen and paper. Oh, got it. Now let's do some interactive. Now let's get up and move around. Now we're hitting all different learning styles. And if there's something else, and if they're not getting it, they don't understand, they're comfortable. Hey, Professor Richardson, I have no idea what you're talking about. They have a place where they're comfortable. I had this some students in class. They're left and right, but now they've connected. And when the left doesn't know, hey, right, can you help me? Now we're learning, right? They are comfortable with saying, I don't understand, or can you help me? We're open. Whatever you need to ask me, you can. When students are seen and when they're heard, they will be open. They will utilize their voices. They will advocate for themselves. They have no problems with asking now because I let them know day one, I'm here for you, but you have to let me help you. How can I teach you?
I love that part about being seen and being known. But a lot of people, especially at that age, but even at any age, don't even know themselves. So you've given them an opportunity not only to be seen, to be heard, to be known by you, but to be known by them own self. What kind of learner am I? What kind of student am I? What kind of person am I? So that's a whole nother level of teaching about how to be human. How to human is to know yourself. And I'm going to add one more thing that I love. You seeing them is kind.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, thank you.
It's a way to be kind. It's probably the kindest thing you can do to somebody is see them.
Certainly my experience in groups is if one person says, I'm sorry, I don't understand it and I need to learn it this way, I can guarantee you there'll be somebody else in the group in exactly the same place.
Yeah.
They didn't have the guts to say it.
Yes, yes.
So it's also them
Yes.
seeing that they're not alone.
Yes.
Like that's so important for, especially for young people, because that is how they learn who they are. Is by
Yes.
seeing their reflection in that mirror of other people going, wait, hold on a second. I'm just like you too. Okay. So we share this common ground of like, we only understand it through this lens. Yeah, it's so crucial because it's how you create community. All of those things that can actually happen in a classroom, but we don't think about it happening in a classroom.
I was in touch with my college professor, and I was an English major, so I had her my entire 4 years in undergrad. I was a mess, a hot one at that. But anyway, I digress. Let's stay focused again.
You can
She was
digress. I want to know about how hot you were in college.
I did all the crazy things. Like, I had the best time. And my college professor, Dr. Jennifer Palmgren, she was so kind, so sweet. We actually reconnected over last summer. I was sharing that story with my students, and they were like, for real? But I shared it with them because I said, these are the moments that you do not think that's going to change your life
Sure.
forever. I said, but they really are. If it wasn't for Dr. Palmgren, I wouldn't be right here in front of you all today. If I did not have those people, those professors that helped me to develop as an individual, trust me, I probably would have flunked out of college.
Every successful person has
Yeah.
like that one
Yeah.
or a couple of teachers
Yeah.
that changed their life.
And that's what I just give back to them. I say things in so much love, but in so much reality, because we live in a different time now. And I want to be real with them. I had a student tell me one time she wanted to be a cardiologist, and she came to class late every single day. And I said, if you ever see me on your operating table, pass me to somebody else. I might need that operation on time. And she was like, I need to do better with my time, right? Yes. Do you know how many years of school you have to go through? And you're just on your first semester. And she was like, nobody's really ever said anything to me so real. I said, I say it in love. I say it in sincerity.
People crave that. They crave the truth. They really do.
She was a wonderful student after that.
Wow.
You've got so many good stories. I'm just going to put this out here. I think you should run for school board. I think you should run for like Secretary of Education. I think you would make a great leader.
Thank you. Wow.
Yes, why? I'm just putting it out there.
You're so needed. Your realness, your love, your connection is so needed right now. Education has become so abstract. Like when we talk about it in the public sphere, it's about what it should do or what it's designed to create or
data, numbers.
exactly. And again, it's when I say the widget system of education, it's that idea that, in goes the raw materials and out come these little perfect workers.
Yeah, it's the industrial system where you've got batches of students coming out.
That student, whether she becomes a cardiologist or not, it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
Because now she understands that no matter what, she has to turn up for herself first. My film professor, she said two things that always stuck with me. One is, To every student, she would start the first class, the first semester, she would say, I will know you through your movies. What you love, what you don't love, what your strengths and your weaknesses are. How do you see the world? And then the other one was she'd pull people aside like me. And, I was this really young, underaged punk, way in over my head. And she'd say, stop it. You are an intellectual. Like, own it. First time anybody in my whole life had actually said that to me.
Oh gosh, you're such an intellectual. You've got to post it across your forehead.
But to have somebody actually recognize it in a teenager and say, own it. Like,
Yes.
You have choices.
Yes.
Own what you are and who you are. Don't throw it away because it's uncomfortable or you're embarrassed or you don't fit in or whatever that is. To have that kind of teacher in your life is truly life-changing.
I've
Yes.
never had anybody tell me what I am. That would be good.
Let me think.
You are amazing.
You're amazing.
I know, I'm a badass. I guess I've been told that. I want you to run for something. I think you could be a great leader, like a big leader. You've got
totally
some
agree.
visionary, and you've got power, like real power, not bullshit power.
Well, it's through connection. Your power comes through this extraordinary ability to connect person to person, heart to heart. That is the most important aspect of everybody who is a communicator out there.
Yes.
That's the part that everyone has forgotten.
We need classes in how to be a human.
That is the most important thing. And we want to make sure that we continue to pour into the humans that are pouring into our students. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if we're not at our best operable selves, we are not helping and building and shaping amazing students, helping them to be the best versions of themselves, and even identifying who they are. Last semester, I dressed up as Steve Urkel from Family Matters for Halloween. I mean, the suspenders and everything, the glasses, and they were like, that actually looks good on you. I was like, it's my Halloween costume. What? They were like, I mean, it's not a bad thing. Wait, it's not bad. You're a cute nerd. Like, really?
I could see that.
I've always known that I was, a nerd. And I've just really owned it so much.
Well, we need more nerds that look like you.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And not just look like you.
Yeah.
That feel like you. This is the thing that it's so much in nerd culture, and Lord knows I live at the nexus of geek and nerd culture.
I don't. I am the only non-nerd in this conversation.
What's amazing is in nerd culture, it's assumed that we don't have deep feelings and want to connect, and that it's all very in your head. It's not in your heart. You're modeling that it's a very warm and fuzzy place.
It is.
Well, I'll say this about educators as well, that it's been a trend now for over a decade, maybe two, for public figures to denigrate teachers and to blame teachers as individuals for the breakdown of the education system. And I think that's put a big burden on the teachers themselves. So what you're talking about as far as humaning, being a human, it's a pushback against all the dehumanizing negative speak that we've heard in our society now for quite a long time.
We need numbers, we need data, we need all those things. We also need people that's going to continue to help heal people, to help show love. And one of the things that I share with my students all the time is like, I know you'll probably never see another professor like me. And that's fine. I don't know if that's good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, but it's just my truth. And I own it, right? And I want you to be successful, whatever success looks like to you. And I make sure that I hit all of those course outcomes in human form.
I think what you're trying to say is that it starts with making sure that your cup is full yourself and that you're feeling human yourself, and then it can go out into the world. So
That's
that's your
it.
big message.
That is
You
my
heard it
big
here.
message. That is my big message. And that's what I want all educators to see. Things are going to happen. We're going to come across those really hard days. But what is that thing that's going to give us some joy? Yes, feel your feelings, but what is going to pour back into our cups where we're overflowing?
We all have to do that. I'm thinking about that myself right now, and I
Yeah.
hope everybody listening, it's like
Yeah.
what can I do? I don't actually know right now what will fill up my cup. I'm actually don't know.
That's real. Thank you for being honest. But
Yeah.
that's your homework, Laura.
I
Okay?
know. I'm get off this podcast and start thinking about it.
You've given everybody this wonderful permission to be whole. You've raised education. You turned it into a calling, whether people realize it or not.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We're so glad to have you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Really, I love getting the opportunity to just really speak from my heart. As PJ said, it is my calling in life. I want to be able to help educators, to help their students, and just to help people to unlock that champion that's inside of them. Because just as much as everybody else needs us, we need us too.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. This is Love Letters to the Future, and that is a future that I look forward to.
I was just thinking as you said that, PJ, about all the students of Wynette's who are the future. They're our future, literally.
And I wonder where that student is. It's been over 10, 12 years at this point.
Oh, the
I wonder if
cardiac
she's a
thoracic
cardiologist.
surgeon.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder, right?